What is up, guys? I hope you're well. My name is Mark, and we're back with some r/entitled people. If you're new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell if you enjoy the content, of course. And with that being said, let's get straight into today's stories. Much love, guys. Our first story is from Savely 13, entitled Mom Begged Bride to Be Less Happy on Her Wedding Day. So let me preface this saying, this is my mum's story, not mine. I don't know all the details because I know it's a painful memory and I don't want to make her relive it. The characters will be MM, my mum, EM, entitled mum, ES, entitled sister, and D, my dad. My mum is the youngest of two girls. She and my dad went to high school together, but didn't start dating until they were both in college. It was a chance meeting that they ran into each other in a bar. Cute story, still happily married and in love 23 years later. It all started when my mum got engaged. My aunt was so upset because she wasn't engaged first, even though she was older. Throughout all the planning, she was pouting and all kind of cold towards my mum. So the day of the wedding comes, my mum is getting ready with her bridesmaid. She's marrying the guy she's had a crush on since high school. She has the perfect venue and she's wearing her grandmother's, my great-grandmother's dress. Everything's going absolutely perfect until my aunt starts crying. My mum tried to comfort her because she is the most selfless woman in the world, even though when she's getting married in mere hours, she was focused on her sister. A little while later, after my aunt ran off, my grandmother pulled my mum aside. Like I said, I don't know every detail, but the conversation went something like this. EM said, "Hey MM, you're really making ES upset." My mum confused. "What did I do?" EM said, "You're way too happy and it's making her upset that she didn't get married before you." Pardon me? Can you just be a little less happy? Mum was in shock. This was supposed to be the happiest day of her life, and here was her mother telling her to be less happy so her sisters didn't get butthurt. My mum's whole life, she was always told to set her accomplishments aside so her sister felt special too. When she was younger, she was told by her parents she would never go to college because she had a hard time in school, dyslexia and ADD before professional help was available. My mum defied all the odds and graduated with a master's degree. Can you guess who got all the glory for graduating from college? You guessed it, my aunt, and on this day, my mum wasn't having it. My mum said, "Look mum, I'm sorry that ES is upset, but today is about me and MD. We're happy, and I'm not going to hide that or pretend I'm not just so ES won't be sad. Today is the happiest day of my life, and I'm not giving that up for anyone." My grandmother shut up after that. She did give my mother a disapproving look though. I don't even need to be there to see it. My mum still gets them all the time. After that, the wedding was perfect. My mother still talked about it with stars in her eyes. Now, my mother still has to deal with that shit sometimes, but she also has my dad and us kids, two of us are adults now, to help her stand up for her. She's very happy, and I'm glad she stood up for herself. There are a few stories like this I know about, but this one makes me the saddest. I'm just glad she didn't let it ruin her wedding day. Edit, I told my mom about all the support she got in this post and how many upvotes it has, and she got so happy, joking that she was Reddit famous, and was so overjoyed that everyone was so kind. This just shouts to me that this is like the parents didn't deal with her at younger age, so she just tantrums whenever she wants now to get her way, and she always does, whereas the OP is in a much better mindset and follows social norms. It's just crazy that families do that, and they still let them get away with it, even at their age now. It's absolutely ridiculous. Our next story is from Asdalia. Woman demands coronavirus test for her and her kid and starts threatening to infect hospital patients. This isn't my story, but I heard it from a friend of mine who's a GP, but now also works at a hospital to aid nurses during the coronavirus outbreak, and I thought this story fits here like a glove. Little backstory. Because there is a shortage of coronavirus tests where I live, only people who show very strong symptoms or in a high-risk groups are allowed to get tested. So this woman and her child, who is around 10 years old, enter the hospital, which is already really crowded and chaotic since the crisis, and loudly demands to the receptionist that she wants a coronavirus test. Since she wasn't coughing, didn't have a fever, and neither did her son, and both of them appeared healthy, the receptionist declined her demand and told her that they can only test those who are very sick or in high-risk groups, which they weren't. This apparently made her very angry, and she began loudly yelling that she demanded that her and her son get tested. When her demand was again denied, she climbed on top of the receptionist desk and started yelling again that her and her son needed to be tested. When the receptionist got her off the desk, she started fake coughing right in her face and around the hall. Then she apparently threatened that if she and her son didn't get tested, she would go to the intensive care unit to cough on and infect the patients. Thankfully, at that point, security arrived and forced her out of the hospital. The police got called just in case she would return, but she thankfully didn't. Since she was a regular at the hospital, they could give the police her personal information, just in case she would do the same at another hospital. Edit 1. I do not live in the US, I live in Europe, so all your advices on what is illegal / could be prosecuted in certain states in the US, unfortunately, do not apply here. 2. Wow, thank you so much for all the likes, and especially for the reward. Imagine going into a hospital saying you're going to cough on people in intensive care. How insane do you have to be to do something like that? Our next story is from Princess Cheetos 77. 3 yen send their kids over for food because I have too much. Backstory 1. I have a working pantry, which means I have food that will last my family for 3 months. It's food that we eat and use, so I'm constantly restocking and rotating it. I'm not exactly a prepper, but it does come in handy for emergencies. Backstory 2. I've been in self-quarantine for a few weeks now due to my compromised immune system. No one outside our family is allowed inside the house, and we don't answer the door if we don't have to. We have a Ring doorbell so we can communicate with people without answering the door. Backstory 3. I used to coupon to the point that I could have been on the extreme couponing show. That's how I built up my food storage quickly. In the past, the neighborhood kids learned quickly that my son had lots of snacks that I was willing to share. In turn, their parents had learned that I had a very large food storage, which I never wanted to advertise, but, oh well, I didn't think it would be a problem at the time. Yeah, I was dumb. I no longer coupon with the same intensity due to my declining health. I do smaller trips, an extra can or two each grocery order to maintain my food storage. Sorry for the novel, on to the story. Our city is in the first few days of quarantine. Schools and workplaces have been closed, but our grocery stores are still open, albeit wiped out and overwhelmed. Yesterday, the doorbell rang at about 9:30 a.m. I checked the ring out and saw the neighbor's kid, about 5 years old, standing on my porch. So I pressed the talk button and tell him hi. Hi, he said. I'm here for the food. Confused, I asked, what food? Mommy said you have food for me, he replied. I'm sorry, honey, but I don't. I'm sure your mom has food for you at home. Okay, bye. He waved into the camera and left. I brushed it off. That kid was known for making stuff up, so I settled back into bed. Almost half an hour later, the doorbell rings again. When I check, there are 2 kids standing there. One is the kid of my neighbor across the street, and the other lives on the street behind me. When I greet them through the Ring app, it's the same story. The mums told them I had food to give them. I quickly told them no, and to go and talk to their mums. They said okay and went on their way. While they walked away, I sent off a text to the 3 mums, which said, your kids stopped by my house and you told them I have food for them. I don't. Why are you telling them that? EM1 said, what about all that food in your food storage? I replied, what about it? EM1, you have a lot, you can share. EM2 said, you've shared before. I said, my food storage is enough for my family. If I had anything to spare, I would gladly share, but I don't. EM3 pipes in, but you have lots of food. I said, again, for my family, the stores are still open. If you need food, you have to try your luck there. EM1 said, or we could just come over and take your stuff. EM2 said, yeah, I doubt you could stop us. All 3 know about my health and mobility issues. I said, try it, and I'll meet you in the driveway with my shotgun, an angry Rottweiler, and even my angrier husband. 3 replies, are you threatening us? You threatened to steal my property, I'm just returning the favor. Bitch. Oh no, you called me a bad word. I think I'm gonna cry. I better drown my sadness by eating all the yummy snacks I have in my food storage. Lol. They didn't respond back, but I did hear from one of my neighbors that EM1 was complaining to anyone that would listen to them I'm a mean person for letting their kids go hungry. Several people asked why she was trying to take food away from an ill person, as several chronic illnesses as well that have me more or less homebound. When she buys bulk at Costco every 2 weeks, she didn't have an answer for that and started complaining about me soon afterwards. She did end up going to the store to buy stuff, but was super pissed because the lines were super long, and she was there for about an hour. Damn, that whole story nearly turned Mad Max there for a second. Those coming round, there's a raiding pie. But seriously, are those people that stupid that they're threatening you in writing? Wow. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed these stories. If you did, would you please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell? If you enjoyed, of course. I hope if you did make it this far, you did at least enjoy a bit of it. Thank you so much for the time out your day. I really hope you're doing well in these troubled times, and I will see you in the next one. Much love now.